Hey, welcome back. I'm Ferrikster, here to bring you some more Pokemon Go GBL battles. These battles are played in Open Great League. Haven't played that in a while. So this is a team that I used for, I guess, just one day. Overall, I think I went 20 out of 25 with it. And since I'm climbing up from, up from the lower levels, the opponents are getting a little bit stronger. The field is starting to stratify more. And overall, I've been having a pretty good time with this team. I have opened with Vigoroth. There's a lot of counter users to choose from. When I pick one to open with, I like to go with Vigoroth because, as opposed to like Medicham or Obstagoon, it has more neutral matchups than it does dominating ones and heavily lost ones. Like, I prefer something that hits things a little bit more neutrally when you're going to be leading with it, just so if you end up losing lead and have to switch out, you at least don't have to worry as much about forcing your way into switch severely. If there's a chance that you can just build up energy on something instead, Vigoroth can flip a lot of its matchups a little more easily, just because its body slam spam is so significant. And between counter and body slam, it can hit a lot of things. Pretty much everything except ghosts really get hit fairly hard. And yeah, ghosts can't hit Vigoroth very hard either, so it doesn't have a lot of matchups where it gets absolutely demolished by anything. So in this matchup, my opponent is opening Scrafty. This is a decent matchup. They threw the power-up punch right away, so I didn't have to shield anything. And I'm able to just spam out this next body slam, and I'm just barely able to not take it out. So I am going to no shield this power-up punch. I could have shielded it and maybe tried to sneak in a counter, but I think that after it popped, it would have taken me on one counter and we would have gone simultaneous KO anyway. No reason to fight for it that badly. I have Nidoqueen in the back and Azumarill. Yeah, I'm using Azumarill again. It's just all around a really solid Pokemon. If you're trying to climb, there's no specific reason to avoid it. And I'm not super sure why, but that G-Fisk threw a Rock Slide before it even could have been at an Earthquake, and then resigned the game after that. So yeah, don't know what was in the back, but apparently not something that wanted to see Nidoqueen. All right, Vigoroth against Altaria. This is a not amazing matchup. Vigoroth is okay against Altaria, actually. Like, if I wanted to go down a shield, Vigoroth could take that. But I felt like maybe I should just try switching out to Nidoqueen, since Nidoqueen has a lot of pretty decent matchups also, and there's a Politoed in the back to greet it. So, that's rough. Tried to bait Poison Fang and did not get a shield, so also pretty unfortunate. At that point, I'm just going to be able to throw another Poison Fang, and I would be able to Poison Jab down if I really needed to. Since I was able to sneak in one Poison Jab, I'm going to be able to shield here, and they're still one away from their next Weather Ball, and I'm able to take Switch there at the expense of one shield. Altaria is going to come back out, and that is fine. I don't know why I didn't throw my Poison Fang there. That was just bad play. And here I make kind of a mistake, which is switching out right away. When Deoxys came in, since those counters are resisted, I should have just stayed in longer with Azumarill before swapping out to Vigoroth. Like, I should have switched out to try to catch a Thunderbolt or something, because these counters now are hitting for super effective, and it's just doing so much more damage to Vigoroth than Deoxys's energy would have. Like, Vigoroth could clearly have survived a full 2 Thunderbolts. But yeah, since I switched out right away, I ended up getting countered down. So now this Deoxys comes back, or I have to bring my Azumarill back into a Deoxys that now has energy. It didn't set me up as well as I would have if I had stayed in with Azumarill and maybe tried to switch out. Not even necessarily to catch the Thunderbolt, just to force them to have to dump some of their energy into Vigoroth. So minor misplay there. Thankfully for me, Azumarill doesn't have a terrible matchup against Deoxys even with Thunderbolt. I can take that one, and my opponent lags a little bit or just stopped attacking. I'm not really sure. Pretty sure that was some lag. I'm throwing this Ice Beam, which will take out Deoxys, and Deoxys wouldn't have been able to reach another Thunderbolt by then, so I would have been fine either way, and now I just have to reach this Ice Beam, and this Ice Beam will definitely take out this Altaria. I can absorb that Moonblast, not such a big deal. And yeah, as long as I would have been able to prevent Deoxys from throwing another charge move at me, would have been perfectly safe in that matchup. So yeah, managed to take that game. Don't feel super great about it because my opponent lagged, but pretty sure I would have been able to wiggle into a victory in there anyway. But yeah. Next up, Vigoroth against Cofagrigus. So I switched out right away, but like I could definitely have stayed in longer. I double resist the Shadow Claw and the Shadow Ball, so he would end up having to go straight either Psychic or Dark Pulse, depending on what Cofin was running. Instead, I switched out into Azumarill, and they didn't switch out right away, but they did switch out pretty quickly into a Venusaur, and here he throws a Sledge Bomb, and I have absolutely no idea why he did that. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what that was. Gonna land this Ice Beam and try to just, well, I'm gonna try to bubble as much as I can, but obviously not gonna make it. Going to get Vine Whip to town. I'm gonna send Nidoqueen out. I am going to shield this Frenzy Plant, and I should be able to Poison Jab down before they reach any other move. I was concerned that if I sent Vigoroth out, they would have, you know, they might have been able to, since they were going to resist the counters, might have been able to reach another charge move, and I definitely don't need that in my life. So, yeah, Coffin comes out against Nidoqueen, goes straight Shadow Ball. Not super sure what to make of that, but it might just be that Coffin's actually not that good against Vigoroth, and I should never have switched out in the first place. Maybe I made my life harder here than it needed to be. Either way, there is a Stunfisk in the back, which is not amazing against Vigoroth. I call this bait and getting that Rock Slide, and here I am not going to bait. I'm just going to go straight Bulldoze. If they shield, that would be fine. Ended up no shielding, and this is another Rock Slide. I should be able to survive this just fine, and I won't quite be in Shadow Claw range just because, you know, I have immunity to resistance to the Shadow Claw. So Coffin comes back out. I'm going to build up not even to a Bulldoze, doing basically the same thing they did. Just going to throw this Body Slam. If the Body Slam were to land, another Body Slam might have taken them out, so I might have been able to force a shield with that either way. Regardless, I'm just going to swap out right away to Nidoqueen because I want to debuff them. And yeah, I was actually just able to Poison Jab the rest of the way down and managed to take that game. GG. All right. Next up, against Hero. Vigoroth into Umbreon. This is a pretty strong matchup for Vigoroth. Not as dominating as it would be if I was a regular fighter as opposed to a pseudo fighter. Either way, they're going to switch out to Azumarill, and I'm going to send out Nidoqueen. I really should have sent out Nidoqueen a little bit faster than that. Like, I can take this Ice Beam, and it hurts, but it doesn't hurt that badly. If Azumarill really wanted to, it would be able to force its way into switch advantage because I was slow to the swap. When Azu comes out, you really have to get Nidoqueen out faster. Here I'm going to throw this next Poison Fang. And I get a shield, and that is okay. So obviously Azumarill has a really, really strong matchup against Umbreon, so I'm just going to conceal that, and I'm going to send out Vigoroth. That way they'll probably send out not Umbreon and save Umbreon for whatever I have in the back, which will be my Azumarill. So they are going to send out a Deoxys, which is a pretty decent counter to Vigoroth. So yeah, this puts me in kind of a difficult spot. What I don't want is for Deoxys to build up a lot of energy on Azu, or to build up energy on Vigoroth and then dump that energy into Azu. So I'm just going to switch out Azu right away. Because, you know, even if they counter swap and bring out Umbreon, Azu will be able to take Umbreon out no problem. And, you know, that'll leave Deoxys to come back in and have to do counter damage to Azumarill. So that was my thinking of, you know what, I should just switch out, bring Azumarill in after I got that first Body Slam through. So since they did bring out their Umbreon, I mean, they could have not switched also. It would have been maybe the play. I'm going to build up, you know, some excess energy, not try to be excessively greedy because what I don't want is for Azumarill to end up in, like, lower than... Why did I switch out there? Oh my gosh. Didn't want Azumarill to end up in... what's that move? Psycho Boost range. So I ended up switching out there. Yeah, I'm going to throw this Body Slam. Since I got in a few counters on Umbreon, I was able to, you know, get to these moves a little bit faster. Gonna no shield, and I can survive that Rock Slide just fine, and I'm actually able to, well, I could have thrown that Body Slam, but decided it wasn't really necessary. I could just go for a simultaneous KO. Azu's gonna come back out, and I still have a shield for Umbreon, so I'm perfectly safe there. And managed to take that game. GG. So that was a 5 out of 5. I get a Sableye, which is fantastic. I am up to 34 Sableye XL candy, so... Nowhere near to the XL candy I need to build a really highly ranked XL Sableye. I'm very much looking forward to using that. Hoping to get a bunch of Sables during Halloween. I'm really hoping that's a semi-common spawn. All right, next set. Vigoroth into Stunfisk. This is a pretty good lead for me. They switch out into Pelipper, and I don't actually have an amazing answer to Pelipper. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw this Body Slam and then switch out to Azumarill after that lands. I'm like trying to switch at a random time and make a catch. I figured maybe they would throw at 9, but ended up throwing at 8, and that's fine. Switched out there because I really figured they would throw the Weather Ball, and they did not. Just build up additional energy. So I'm going to no-shield here regardless. It's a Hurricane, and I mean, it hurts, but it's not that bad. And here I'm not going to throw right away. I'm going to build up as much energy as I possibly can and throw here. Just so if they want to be able to, you know, even bait me or throw the next Hurricane, I'll, you know, I'll at least be able to take a shield off them first. So Venusaur comes out, which is obviously terrible for Azu. I'm going to throw this Ice Beam, and I am so close to reaching the next one. I'm able to reach it with energy, but I just get Vine Whip down before I'm able to throw it. And now I'm going to bring out Nidoqueen because I'm going to save Vigoroth for G-Fisk. Going to shield this Frenzy Plant. From a Shadow Venusaur, it would do so much damage. And yeah, I'm going to have to shield the next one because, I mean, I can't go down like this. This Venusaur is way too dangerous. I'm going to throw this Poison Fang. Probably going to get a shield because Venusaur really is the key to my opponent's victory here. And they actually don't shield and just end up taking that damage and then switching out to Stunfisk. So I'm going to bring Vigoroth out right away, switching out as fast as I can. And I'm just going to go straight Bulldoze, and I do not get and I get the shield there. So that's rough. This Rock Slide is going to be able to take me out because as a pseudo fighter, I don't resist rock. And I'm going to be able to reach this Earth Power, but I'm not quite going to be able to take him out with this. This Earth Power is very, very close to KOing. But Stunfisk able to survive, and definitely can't Poison Jab down from there. Able to reach this Earthquake, and they managed to take me out. So yeah, kind of rough for me. That Venusaur coming out into my Azu and farming all of that energy up really kind of sealed it for me. That put me in a really, really awkward spot, even though I had won the lead there. All right, Vigoroth into Stunfisk. Regular Unova Stunfisk has an okay matchup against Vigoroth, but they switch out right away into a Sableye. This kind of makes me feel like they were trying to bait out my Azu, and I guess we'll see what else turns out to be in the back. Gonna land that return. So I'm taking a risk here, throwing this Play Rough. If they shield this, then they will be able to force their way into Switch Advantage, whereas if I had thrown the Ice Beam, I would have been able to reach the Ice Beam before they're throwing this, and yeah, I'm gonna shield this Foul Play, which I don't know if that was really the right move, and now I am just going to try to land this Ice Beam, and I get the last shield. So, I mean, this is okay. The Sableye is building up a ton of energy. They throw here, thankfully. I think they could have Shadow Clawed down, but they are out of shield and didn't want to risk it because they already had all that excess energy. And now I'm just going to bring Vigoroth back out. I mean, Sableye is single resisting these counters, so they are still, you know, doing something. And I'm going to shield here because I was worried it could be the return. Turned out to be the Foul Play, and that is fine. Oh, I guess it couldn't have been the return because they don't reach another move. Yeah, me from past me was counting better than current me was. But yeah, I blind through the Bulldoze, and it turned out to be a Skarmory, which is really, really bad for my Nidoqueen. So yeah, kind of stuck staying in here with Vigoroth. I'm just going to spam out these Body Slams as quickly as I can. I really would have been in a much better spot if I hadn't blind thrown the Bulldoze. That was a pretty big waste of energy. Switch out here to try to catch the Brave Bird because I figured that was probably coming. And this Skarmory isn't in Poison Jab range, so it's going to end up bringing out a Stunfisk. I was hoping for a CMP tie here, hoping that they would throw the Mud Bomb as soon as they had it, but they did not very wisely. And I probably should have just thrown that Poison Jab, or that Poison Sting also. Poison Fang also, just to lower their defense a little bit more so that I would be able to, for sure, take them out with a Bulldoze. Gonna have to eat that Mud Bomb, and that is far from ideal. And I'm gonna be able to reach this Bulldoze, and that is probably going to just barely take the Stunfisk out. And it does, and now I just have to get to the Body Slam, but I just barely don't make it. Skarmory was like one counter away from being taken out, but I just barely managed to not take that game also. So yeah, GG to my opponent. Well played. All right. Vigoroth into Jellicent. This is pretty bad, especially because the Jellicent has Bubble instead of Hex. That obviously makes Azu a little bit better, but yeah, it makes Vigoroth way, way worse. Also has Ice Beam instead of having something like Bubble Beam. So this Jellicent has the perfect moveset to be taking out Vigoroth. We have some nice visual glitches on the screen, and that is great because it's going to sit there for the entire match, so get used to it now. And I am actually going to shield here. Since I'm shielding, I probably should have just thrown a Body Slam instead of throwing this Bulldoze, but my opponent actually managed to sneak in a bubble there, so I won't be able to reach a Body Slam after this anyway, so it was probably better that I actually threw the Bulldoze. Now this Jellicent has a decent chunk of energy already, so gonna throw this Shadow Ball. Hits for neutral and does quite a bit, even though my Azu is XL and pretty thick. I sneak in a bubble, which is nice. It helps. Gonna take this next Shadow Ball also. And I mean, I have to throw something here. He sneaks in a bubble when I'm throwing this Ice Beam. That is not great because it puts this Jellicent really, really close to reaching a move. Thankfully, I'm just barely able to bubble down. They went down with a Shadow Ball of energy. And then an Alola Ninetales comes out. So I'm going to throw this Play Rough first before switching out. Even though Nidoqueen obviously does pretty well against the Alola Ninetales, it's not such a dominating matchup that I would have wanted to take all that Powder Snow damage if I hadn't already first lowered their health. So yeah, my opponent brings a Mandibuzz out into my Nidoqueen, which is okay for me. I only had 2 poison jabs of energy lead. But that is going to be enough because it is an Air Slash Mandy for me to reach this last Poison Fang, and this will actually take them out if they no-shield it. And they kind of have to because otherwise I would just end up farming them down and being able to throw Poison Jab. Thankfully, I'm able to throw this last Poison Fang against this Alola Ninetales. This will get the last shield. And since they weren't able to sneak in a move, I'm actually able to Poison Jab the whole way down. It just barely takes them out there, GG. But yeah, that was really close. If they had Dazzling Gleamed my Azu, would have taken me out. So, all right, Vigoroth into Venusaur. This is not a winning matchup for Vigoroth. But, I mean, Vigoroth doesn't even win CMP, but I do outpace. So the first Body Slam, they obviously won't shield because it just doesn't do enough to warrant a shield. I'm able to sneak in a counter there, which is helpful, but doesn't really change the matchup. I'm just going to shield both of the Frenzy Plants that they end up throwing, and they actually switch out into a Stunfisk, which is a crazy thing to switch into a counter user. But, I mean, I'm going to land that Bulldoze. And here I'm going to threaten KO by throwing this Body Slam. And unfortunately, I don't get a shield, and it just barely doesn't KO, so that puts me in a pretty awkward spot. And I was hoping this maybe wasn't an Earthquake, but it actually was. So, yeah, this is not doing me any favors. I'm going to bring Nidoqueen out because I don't want to reveal Azumarill. If I reveal Azumarill, Venusaur would be able to come out and farm the whole way down. So it's much better for me to just bring out Nidoqueen. I'm going to have to shield this Frenzy Plant because I cannot let them see my Azu yet. And there is a Bastiodon in the back. So this helps. Here I'm doing something dumb, which is baiting against a Bastiodon. And I do not get a shield. So I build up to an Earth Power, and this might seem like it's coming out a little bit early to them. But could definitely have been, and I finally get the shield there. And now that I've double debuffed them, I switch out into Azumarill, which doesn't even really make that much sense. But yeah, I definitely should have just straight thrown the Earth Power, because if it had landed, I could have just switched out to Azu then and farmed the whole way down. Ended with nearly 2 Ice Beams ready for Venusaur when it came back in. They're going to bring Venusaur in here anyway. I'm able to reach this Ice Beam, but not able to throw it. Very good counting by my opponent, and they're going to take me out with this Frenzy Plant. But that's all right, leaves them energy drained, and I am just going to come in Poison Jab with Nidoqueen. And now I just need to reach 2 Earth Powers. I would be able to reach it here, even if they end up throwing something. So yeah, the only way I could lose that is if I baited and they no-shielded, so that's why they ended up no-shielding that. They needed me to bait in order for them to be able to win. And yeah, thankfully I learned my lesson after the first time and did not do that. managed to take that game. GG. All right. Vigoroth into Medicham. This is a terrible, terrible lead for Vigoroth. Vigoroth can threaten if if I lose switch, I can come in with Vigoroth and counter down and get some energy, and then I can be okay. And I am greeted with a Mew. So I'm not going to shield the first move because Azu would survive a wild charge, and it is actually flame charge. So I will no longer survive a wild charge, so I'm going to have to throw my energy, some of my energy here. Going to throw this Ice Beam. I get a shield, which is nice. And here I throw another Ice Beam, which is a mistake. I should have just built up to and maybe thrown the Play Rough, because the Ice Beam does not do enough damage. And I'm going to no shield here, because it just feels really bad to shield a Flame Charge, and it was a Wild Charge this time. That's fine. I'm going to come out with Nidoqueen. Since I know this Mew does not have Surf, I was hoping to just catch a Wild Charge, and I did. So... great, that helps. And yeah, now unfortunately a G-Fisk comes in, so my opponent has alignment. Their G-Fisk against my Nidoqueen. Nidoqueen isn't completely losing against Stunfisk, but it's definitely not a good matchup. And I actually need to shield this because even if this is a Rock Slide, I really, really need Nidoqueen to debuff Medicham. I'm going to no-shield this Rock Slide. I can take one of them. And yeah, I'm just going to go straight Earth Power. The G-Fisk is low, so it is obviously very, very tempting to try to throw the Poison Jab. And I know that my opponent knows that. Unbelievably close to not reaching this, but I'm barely able to reach this this Poison Fang. I needed this because I needed that defense drop so that I can bring out Vigoroth, and I will be able to take this Medicham out in one Body Slam plus the counters now that the Medicham has been debuffed. So this is dangerous. I'm going to shield this move. It could be the Psychic. Thankfully, I actually correctly shield the Psychic. If that had been a power-up punch, I would be doomed. And here they are reaching their next Psychic, but Vigoroth will win CMP, able to land that Body Slam and take out Medicham just barely. GG. So yeah, that was rough. Rough lead, rough swap, but barely managed to pull that together just with really, really careful management of what little health and energy I had. So I get a Frillish, and that's fantastic. I definitely still need Frillish XL candies. They are definitely spawning in the wild a lot more than Sableye is. But yeah, I'm nowhere near my Ultra League Frillish yet. All right, Vigoroth into Venusaur again. So I'm going to play this out the same way I did last time. Last time they actually swapped out, so this time we'll see how they want to play it. I am going to shield the Frenzy Plant. I'm going to try to fast move deny and throw my Body Slam at a random feeling time. I correctly deny the move, and this is almost definitely going to land, and they actually shield it. So I'm going to throw my next Body Slam. I'm trying to get this one out before they get their next Frenzy Plant out. And yeah, so I'm going to shield here. It's 6-6-5, so I can't really outpace them any further. And then they switch into Azumarill, and I'm a little bit slow to bring Nidoqueen in, which is unfortunate. I need to be faster about switching Nidoqueen in when there's an Azumarill switch in. It's actually very important. Since I didn't, this Azu is able to get to this Hydro Pump and take me out before I'm even able to throw another Poison Jab. So I'm actually going to send Vigoroth out because Vigoroth outpaces Azu. And Azu does not. And they're going to no-shield, and I'm able to counter down. So I have more energy than I had last time when they switched in. And now they're going to bring Venusaur out. That is amazing for me because I really, really, really obviously need Azu to be staying away from that. Going to throw this next Body Slam. Takes out Venusaur, and there's a Bastiodon in the back. So, yeah. I switch out I tried to switch out at the last second to preserve Vigoroth so I'd be able to throw another counter later. Either way, I'm going to bring Azu in here. This is actually a pretty iffy looking situation here. If my Azu has Hydro Pump, obviously this is completely winning. But since I don't, I would have had to throw two Play Roughs plus all the bubbles, and I'm not even sure that would have been enough. So I think my opponent definitely left prematurely there, assuming that I had Hydro. All right. Next up, Vigoroth into Bastiodon. This is obviously a fantastic lead for me. They're going to switch out to Mew, and I'm going to stay in for a bit with Vigoroth. I know they're trying to save up energy and not throw anything. I'm going to throw this Body Slam. And I'm able to reach my next Body Slam also. I will survive anything unless this is like a Focus Blast or something, but I'm going to shield this Wild Charge since I was able to throw this Body Slam. This will KO the Mew if they no shield. And they do shield, so... I tried to switch out to catch the Wild Charge, and that was a failed catch. They were not throwing the Wild Charge as soon as they could, which makes sense because it's not like Vigoroth is putting on a lot of fast move damage pressure. So I ended up taking a Surf on Nidoqueen, but it's okay because it's not like Mew got to a second move. So definitely went down with a decent chunk of energy. And yeah, Bastiodon is actually going to come back out, and Bastiodon is not that good against Nidoqueen. They make an amazing catch on their Pelipper. I thought I was throwing this Earth Power at a pretty random time, but I guess I'm just totally predictable because they managed to catch it. That's all right. I still had some excess energy, so I'm still going to be able to land this Poison Fang, do that damage to this Pelipper, and I mean, oh my gosh, this Pelipper is getting so low. I'm going to send out Azu because I'm definitely assuming that they were just going to go straight Weather Ball. And they do, so that is fantastic. And yeah, I'm able to throw one extra bubble after the one I snuck in, and that takes them out. And yeah, this game is super over because I have Vigoroth left over for the Basti. So yeah, it was really just about maintaining alignment in that game. Alignment was just really important. All right, next up against Sofuka. Vigoroth against Empoleon, another fantastic lead for me. They're going to switch out right away into Pelipper, and yeah, I'm going to throw a Body Slam and then switch out. I'm going to try to catch a Weather Ball, but really I should just switch out right away so I don't have to worry about anything. Okay, I did it this time. Much better than the last time I tried to manage that by catching. Because yeah, now Azu can come out. I don't need to shield anything. They just Hurricaned as soon as they were at the Hurricane. So I can build up extra energy. I'm not sure why I'm not building up energy. Why am I not doing the thing I'm supposed to do? Oh my gosh. And they actually shield the Ice Beam, which is insanity to me. So I think they just reached the Hurricane, but I'm going to no-shield anyway, hoping that it's a Weather Ball bait, and it is, and I will obviously survive even another Weather Ball bait if they were to throw that there. And now I'm just going to throw this Ice Beam. This will take them out if they no-shield, and so they shield again. Yeah. And then they give up Switch Advantage anyway, switching out to Empoleon. I'm going to throw this Play Rough, which isn't really like super necessary, but my switch timer wasn't out yet. And now I'm going to switch out into Vigoroth just so that Empoleon doesn't get as much farm on Azu. There's definitely an argument to be made for just staying in and letting Empoleon KO since they were going to reach one move anyway. And yeah, now I'm just going to... It was blind throwing the Body Slam, assuming that Pelipper was going to come out and unload energy to force a shield out of me, and it is actually a Wigglytuff. So I'm going to throw 3 counters while they throw 2 charms, fast move deny. Since I'm able to get that fast move denial through, I'm going to just barely be able to reach this Body Slam. If I threw with fast move timing rather than denial, I would have had no chance of reaching it, so it just made sense to try to deny. Pelipper is going to come back out, and yeah, I'm just going to bring Nidoqueen in, throw 1 Poison Jab, and then switch to try to make a catch on Azu. They didn't throw right away, but ended up feeling pressured to throw anyway just because their health was so low. And I can just Poison Jab them down, and I still have a shield left over, so I'm perfectly safe. So GG. All right. Next up against Exoros. Probably not pronouncing that right. Vigoroth into Azumarill. Haven't seen that many Azumarill leads. So Vigoroth into Azumarill looks like it would be a pretty terrible matchup, but it's not really that bad. I switched out to my own Azu to try to catch a Ice Beam, but Azu was not prepared to throw that yet. They were going to probably play rough my Vigoroth anyway. Now they switch out to their own Vigoroth. So yeah. This is actually great for me, as like it looks like it's just Vigoroth against Azu, and I mean I'm throwing neutral counters, building up energy, but it's just that Vigoroth's energy is more valuable than Azumarill's energy anyway. So yeah, I have my Vigoroth with like nearly 2 Body Slams loaded, and their Azu is pretty much energy dry because they threw that move. Like the play rough from Azu only hits Azu really for about as much damage as the Body Slams do. Anyway, they're going to no-shield there, and I am going to bring Nidoqueen out into the Azumarill, end up baiting out a Sableye, so not super sure if I made the right call there, but I mean, Sableye has a pretty decent matchup against Vigoroth also. Sableye fairly strong against Nidoqueen and Vigoroth. Actually baited and managed to get a shield, which is surprising for me. I'm not used to getting lucky like that. Gonna throw the next Poison Fang, and I get the next Shield. They must have slightly lost track of my energy. I assumed that I was definitely at the Earth Power. Not gonna reach it this time, so I'm definitely just going to throw this last Poison Fang. And yeah, at that point, my poison jabs are starting to really, really add up. The Sableye is pretty low. I switch out right away and I blind throw, and they actually switched out to catch that on their Azumarill. But yeah, since I am up shields and Vigoroth outpaces Azumarill by so much, I'm able to just throw this next Body Slam, and they're in Body Slam range, so I'm just going to shield this charge move. And it's an Ice Beam. And I had lost track of their energy, or I would have thrown my Body Slams when I was supposed to, which is, you know, before this charge move goes out. I'm going to no-shield this Ice Beam because I know I survive it. I'm going to build up extra energy, and the amount of extra energy I'm building up, slightly unnecessary. But I'm just going to throw this Body Slam, and the Sableye is so low, I'm able to just spam out my Body Slam. I'm going to have to shield this Foul Play, and since this was a lost CMP, my Body Slam will go out here. It will just barely not KO, but I'm able to just counter the Sableye down before they're able to reach another Body Slam. And I still had Azu, who could have thrown one bubble anyway. I managed to take that game. GG. All right, next up against Rob, followed by some numbers. A lot of numbers, actually. Vigoroth into Bastiodon. This is fine. I don't even really need to worry that much about alignment. Deoxys comes out, and I'm going to switch out into Azumarill. Since Nidoqueen and Vigoroth both have a pretty strong matchup against Bastiodon, I don't have to worry about switch that much, but I'm going to shield the first move anyway, just to make them think that I need alignment. That is going to free me up so that I can kind of just throw this Ice Beam and have a much higher chance of getting a shield back. The good thing about taking this into the ones is that once it's in the ones, Azumarill can double Ice Beam. Like, in the zeros, 2 Ice Beams is not enough, because you need way more bubbles, but since I correctly shielded the first one, I'm able to throw that Ice Beam, and you can see from the bubble damage that they are getting really, really close to being in Ice Beam range. So they're not able to really build up a lot of excess energy. That Thunderbolt is going to take me out. And yeah, at this point, I'm just going to bring in Nidoqueen. Deoxys is energy dry, so as long as I throw this Poison Fang right away, they won't be able to get to a Psycho Boost to you know, threaten my Nidoqueen with big damage. And Bastiodon is going to come out, which makes sense. You don't really want Bastiodon against Vigoroth, but you really don't want it against Nidoqueen either. I'm going to throw my Earth Power after building up just a little bit of extra energy. And here I can definitely build up even more before throwing anything that would have a chance of taking Bastiodon out. I'm going to shield this Flamethrower. And it is a Medicham back there. So, yeah. Definitely good that I saved health on this Nidoqueen because Nidoqueen is pretty decent against Medicham. It's at 7 counters here, so I'm going to throw this next Poison Fang. I get a shield, and then I'm going to throw one more and try to switch out to catch the Psychic on Vigoroth, and they were not throwing, so I'm going to be able to reach this Body Slam. And since this Medicham is double debuffed, I'm actually able to take it out with that Body Slam, and now I can just counter down Bastiodon. So, GG. Yeah. Vigoroth would have a terrible matchup against Medicham, but Vigoroth is great for if you have a little bit of extra energy, you can get a lot of stuff done against a lot of its counters. I get a Scraggy, which is fantastic. I need XL Candy for that also. Also, nowhere near my Ultra League XL Scrafty. So, yeah. Claim that 5 out of 5. Also, go up to rank 17, get some dust, and those were my battles. Hope you enjoyed this content. Don't forget to do the things you know you're supposed to do at the ends of videos. Sorry it took me so long to get out a regular Open Great League video, but I really do prefer playing Remix. Like I like playing newer cups. They feel more interesting to me because I've been playing this game for too long. But not everyone's in that boat, so I should definitely try to get more teams out for leagues that are popular. And yeah, I'll see you guys when I see you.